Hey, it's Dr. Kate Walker. Welcome to April 30th, Thursday 30 in the Texas Counselors Creating Badass Business Groups. And your t-shirt today is brought to you by Dope Therapists. Your coffee cup today is brought to you by You Should See My Active Bitch Face. And I'd like to welcome all the new badasses this week. We've got Jane Na, Kayla Prophet Brewer, Rachel Nunez, Dimple Shah Raha, Lisa Savignon, Kristen May Steimel, Heather Irby Linderos, Kayla White, Amy Koning Grubbs, Julie Hanson, Sharon Beam, Kendall Hart, Sylvia Rapini. Let's get to work. All right, so April showers bring May flowers. Not really sure what that's all about, but I know for me, I need my May to kick some ass, right? COVID-19 has done a little bit of a number on my business. And remember, COVID is the plan killer, not the dream crusher, right? So we've got to stay in this. We have to stay on top of how we're doing our business. Hey, Carrie. Hey, Jennifer. Hey, Meg. So let's talk about what we talked about last time, right? Last time we talked about branding. Branding. What is a brand? What does it tell people? Well, we did a little values clarification, and if you go down in our thread, you'll be able to see some of the things that speak to who you are, what you're trying to communicate. This is your outgoing message, right? And it's what you're hoping people will feel when they see your brand, when they come to see you, when they click on your website. Hey, Jessica, thanks for joining. So, I think some of the things, I tried to do it in alphabetical order. So attitude, belief, courageousness, decisiveness, effectiveness. So lots of things that your brand is going to communicate, right? And that's really important. So we did a little bit, tiny bit of what is an ideal client. What's your ideal client? Who is hearing that message? Hey, Carolyn, thanks for watching. So it goes back to backwards planning from that ideal client. And that's always scary for us because we think, oh my gosh, if I talk to just my ideal client, I'm going to miss a whole world full of people, right? Not true. Not true, right? Because a lot of our business is word of mouth. Now, I'm imagining that you're here because you need your business to grow. If you're looking for things that are more clinical, there are other groups for you out there. If you're a supervisor and you're not in my Texas Supervisor Training group, you need to get over there immediately so that you can get more clinical advice. We had a great consultation group last week with Nate Catano with Online Therapists of Texas. So if you're looking for some business advice specific to online therapy, I highly suggest you hightail it over to his group because he really has his finger on the pulse of what's going on with online therapy in Texas, which is kind of what we're all doing, right? Until, the insurance companies quit paying or until it's we feel it's safe to go back in our offices. Don't let anybody shame you into going back to your office. If you don't feel safe, you stay home. We'll figure out, you and me, us, our community right here, we're going to figure out how to help you make a living right where you are, even if the insurance companies don't have your back, all right? Insurance companies don't have your back. The badasses in this group will, right? If you have a question, put it in the thread. So today, what I'm going to talk about is, so there are lots of things that can help you build your business. I am a big proponent. I am a big fan of content. I have spent so much money on things like Google ads and Facebook ads. And, you'll see them pop up in your feed and they'll have in gray letters, it'll say sponsored, right? That means somebody is paying for that. And it's a lead. So that means they have filled out a little questionnaire that said that they wanted to target women between the ages of 30 and 50 in this region who are interested in these topics, enter these groups, and they're doing the work for you to find your ideal client. So this month, I'm going to talk about what are your barriers to creating content. What are your barriers to creating amazing content? Good morning, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining us. So sometimes it's called writer's block, okay? Writer's block sucks. So I can go for a month and just create blog after blog after blog. And, my clinical practice is achievebalance.org. So if it's more clinical, I will put it there. If it's more business, I'll put it in Kate Walker Training. I use the content that I create as material for these Facebook Lives. I use the material as topics for my content in my Facebook groups. So really the writer in you is going to build your business. Okay, so in May, we're going to talk about keywords and how to find the best keywords. But I mean, you guys, we're not selling auto parts here. We're selling counseling. So your keywords are going to relate to depression and anxiety. They're going to relate to infidelity and addiction recovery. They're going to relate to parenting, going to, I wrote a blog once about going to college with special needs or going to college with your 504. Because my ideal client is a family with a family member struggling to achieve independence, older teens and young 20s. So I'm able to write these blogs about things that I imagine that these parents are going through. Now, the older I get, I discovered that this ideal client looks a lot more and more like me, right? So it makes it a little bit easier the older I get because I'm writing content that's interesting to me. So today I wanted to talk about some things that are getting in the way of you creating great content, because that's going to set the stage for how you can get your business back on track in May, right? So March and April, I saw a meme on Facebook. It was something like, it showed like death and destruction all around and a guy in a rowboat. And the little caption was, I haven't written my novel yet. Right? So in our mind, we're thinking, oh my gosh, we have all this free time. Why haven't I written my novel? Why haven't I started my blog? Why haven't I, fill in dream thing here, right? Well, we've been a little stressed. We've been homeschooling our kids. We've been Zooming with, a toddler looking over our shoulders. We've been trying to fake normal and to try to throw, oh, by the way, grow your business in there, right? Not so much. So a lot of us are struggling with our own anxiety and depression. A lot of us, it's not so funny anymore that we wait for 5 o'clock to go, fix our sangria, tequila, margarita thing, right? It's becoming something that's maybe not quite as helpful, and it's something that could be a struggle for a lot of us, okay? And it can be something that is going to get in the way of you succeeding, and that's not okay, right? So one of the barriers can be your depression, your anxiety, a returning addiction, a returning compulsion. Perhaps you're even finding it hard to find your medication right now. So you're struggling because you're not able to get the level of health and the mental health that you need. So I want to talk about routines, I want to talk about prompts, and I want to talk about really specific things related to a break-even analysis. I know that sounds like it doesn't all go together, right? Journal, right brain, and then break-even analysis. Let's throw some numbers at it. But that's how our brain works, right? If we don't have something solid that we're actually going for, our brain just kind of spins. It's like, why am I writing? Why am I trying to do this? What's going on here? You know what? I'd rather just put on the 4th season of Lucifer to see if it gets any better, right? So when we're looking at barriers and things holding you back, what is your writing routine? How do you write? So for me, I can go a long, long time without writing. What triggers me are a couple of things. Number one is music, right? I'm a podcast girl. I'm an Audible book girl. When I go on my walks, I'm listening to my podcasts and my Audibles over and over and over again. But that doesn't necessarily get my creative juices flowing. If I start listening to music, and the coolest thing, y'all, is Spotify. I've got 2 adult kids, and they both share playlists with me. So I can listen to their Spotify playlists, and I almost feel the mood that they're in that day. I know that's a little codependent and enmeshed, but Spotify is awesome because it also gets that creative juices, those creative juices flowing. So sometimes what's really helpful is to listen to music and then have your notepad or your computer and just start writing. Write whatever comes out. If you're sad, write something sad. If you are listening to a song about cheating and lying, write something about cheating and lying. Another thing, and I actually got this from another blogger, they said a great prompt is to write angry, right? I don't know about you guys, but I've been angry lately. There's a lot of stuff happening when I'm online, or I'm trying to enjoy my Facebook time, or I'm trying to listen to a conversation between some friends. What do you know? It's an election year and we're in the middle of a pandemic. Things get a little polarizing. So when I get angry and I start writing, some crazy stuff comes out, but some of it I can polish into a really neat article. In fact, I want to say the one, I just published one today I actually published it in 2 ways, and this is important too. So for those of you who have a side hustle, right? So Kate Walker Training is one of my businesses. The other one is my clinical practice. I get more bang for my buck if I'm able to write a blog that I can put on my clinical website, achievebalance.org, reword it, rework it a little bit, and also put it on the Kate Walker Training site, right? So my blog that I posted today was how to embrace your humanity. It explained how an urge can lead to suffering, which leads to compulsivity, which leads to problems that need counseling. And so I was able to put it on my Achieve Balance blog post because I was talking about addictions and infidelity and overeating, undereating, restrictive eating, and comparing it to how even things that can look super healthy, like running a marathon or training for the Olympics, can be just as dangerous and unhealthy, and how all of that during this time, now I didn't specifically say COVID because I want this blog to have some legs. I want it to last a while, but it helped the reader hopefully understand my values and how I see counseling, right? Counseling is there to help you put language on a problem. Once you put language on it, then you can understand how to satisfy it. Once you figure out how to satisfy it in a healthy way, this is the kicker, it helps you be more social. I'm an MFT, right? I want everybody to have healthy relationships. When we're in pain, it's hard to have healthy relationships. Now, while I'm saying that, I hope your wheels are turning, because guess what? When you're suffering, when you're in pain, it makes you antisocial. It makes it hard for you to write content that draws people to you. All right? So that's what these Facebook Lives have been about, many of them, right? It's about taking care of you, right? Not just because I love you, not just because I know that you're important and you've put yourself in a position to make yourself valuable to your community, but because you deserve to be pain-free. You deserve to have a life that's smooth. It's just not probably going to happen every day, right? Hey, Pamela, thanks for joining. So when we put language on the problem, we're able to find a solution, right? If I'm just sitting here going, oh, my stomach hurts, what am I going to do? Versus, oh, you know what? I'm hungry. I need to get a sandwich, right? And a counselor can help me do that. Well, you're the counselor, but you're the one also needing the help. So one of the barriers to you producing great content that draws people in, that's very social, right? You're drawing people into your brand, into your website, maybe your own pain, right? So if you find yourself in writer's block land, I want you to channel that pain. I want you to write angry. I want you to put on the Johnny Cash. I want you to put on the John Prine and the Iris Dement, and I want you to write sad. I want you to write angry, and I want to see what comes out. So we've got reading, then writing. We've got write angry. We've got listen to music and journal. As far as a routine for a time, I prefer the morning. Morning just means there aren't any kids or husbands roaming around, so I'm able to be very, very kind of, into my subject. I'm going to turn my light down a little bit. I think I'm sweating. Oh, hey, there we go. All right. I get a little more natural light here. Hey, Maureen, thanks for watching. So the time that you write is very important. I tell my husband all the time, I can't do work in 10-minute bites. I've got to have 2 hours minimum. 2 hours. That's it, right? If I have less than 2 hours, ain't nothing going to get done. So 2 hours, morning. Now let's talk about, and this is what we're going to cover in May, what we're going to start using that content for, right? So now you're attending to yourself, you're self-caring, and I've talked about lots of places and groups and websites you can go to learn about self-care. You can get your own counseling. I saw some beautiful threads in our Badass Business page about what to do if you're a therapist and you need your own help, right? absolutely, we need that help. We need that self-care. So what we do once we've dealt with our pain, once we're writing again, once we're producing content, now we have material not just for blogs, but for groups. Now you have material for your speaking gigs, right? A lot of people ask me, well, how do you get speaking gigs? How do you get out there and get paid to speak? Y'all, the point well, never mind. Let me get on my soapbox. Here's how I view speaking. I view speaking much like I view writing my book. It's a business card. It's almost like an interview. When I speak to a PTO or when I speak to a chamber of commerce or any group, what I'm doing is I'm kind of doing a 30-minute interview. I'm letting people understand what my values are, right? My values include we build community, we support one another. My values include helping you feel safe and secure with the information that you're getting. My values include empowering you to go out there and do what it is you were put on this earth to do. And if I can communicate that, remember that's my outgoing message in my speech, then my goal is to have them curious enough to come to my website and start clicking, because my material is going to make it easier for that ingoing, right? I want the fish to go in the net, right? And I know that sounds bad. I'm calling my potential client or my potential customer a fish. It's a metaphor. So I'm wanting them to come to the website, see what it is that I sold them during my speech, right? And if they are looking for a Lamborghini and I'm a Lamborghini, they've come to the right place, right? And so that's going to match. We want the outgoing to match what they find when they come to your website. And so when you're putting content out there, this is going to be the material that will be out there that you're giving to your audience. I know that I did a Casey Truffaut course once, Be a Wealthy Therapist, years ago. I think, must have been 20 years ago. I think she's still around too. And one of the things that she said is you're only really going to write 4 talks your entire life, right? And it's, what is the problem? How can I help you with the problem? Here are 3 ways to fix the problem and one other thing, right? So really when you're talking to people, you're giving that 30-minute interview. They're learning about you. They're learning about your values and what they're going to find if they click that button and come to your website. The other thing I'm talking about a lot more is this idea of making Facebook groups. So Facebook groups are like ideal clients. What did I see the other day? Bubbles, right? Your bubble now. With the quarantine and the pandemic, they want us limited to 10 people bubbles, right? Well, your Facebook group can be that bubble for your ideal client. You built your practice because you were an expert in something. Now, it may have been personal, your own personal pain. But if you build a Facebook group around people who are interested in finding solutions to that pain, or they're interested in the solution that you found and that worked for you, or that you teach your clients, okay, no, this is a good way to meet that pain and alleviate your suffering. That Facebook group now can become those people that can be your referral team. If you're wondering what that referral team is, go back through a few of these live videos, because I teach how to use your elevator pitch to create a referral team out of the 30 people sitting in front of you. So it's not the size of your Facebook group, right? Your Facebook group is your community. It's safety. It's where people can talk and feel like they can, get that community feeling. But, and it's a big but, you want to teach that community to be your biggest fans, right? You want every member of that community to be able to go tell 2 friends what an amazing job you do at getting your message out, all right? So we've talked about Facebook groups, we've talked about speaking gigs, we've talked about blogs. Now I promised your left brain that we would do a little break-even analysis. So here's what the break-even analysis does. And I think I have another little tiny video somewhere in the thread about how to do a break-even analysis. It is so powerful, because what you do with your break-even analysis is you create a world that's, first of all, it's kind of fantasy, because you put in all the expenses that you think you have, pretty sure that you have, month by month by month, and then exactly how much money you need to make to break even. Now, break even is a big fat 0. Break even means you make no money. And that's a great number to have, because you know everything you do beyond that is paying you, right? And so that's what gives you hope. That's when things like COVID and a pandemic come around and it's terrible and it's awful and we're all trying our best to get through it. That zero lets you know, hey, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to break even. I'm going to pay my bills. Okay? So that number, even though it's a hard left brain thing to look at, your right brain, am I looking at the right side? Right brain breathes a huge sigh of relief because your right brain needs to know that you're going to be okay. Because if you're not okay, then you're suffering. And if you're suffering, then you're in pain. And if you're in pain, you're not able to communicate the love that's inside of you that you need your ideal client to see, hear, and feel. All right? So, hang on, wake up. All right, we're awake now. All right, I've got a couple of minutes. So let me recap. Sounds like we possibly will need a little break-even analysis here in the future. Hey, Maureen. Hey, Dave. Thanks for watching. And that's absolutely something I can do in May. What would be so awesome is if you would go in this thread and write down, type in things that you would like for me to cover in May. Remember April, showers, #COVID, bring May flowers, not May crap, right? You are too important to lose to things like going broke, giving up, and burning out, right? This is your fault. You're the one that wanted to be a counselor. You're the one who was so doggone good at your job that you pursued it. You landed in this group. You landed in the Badass Business Group. And you're going to be successful because we're here and we're not going to let you fail, all right? So keep tuning into these things. I will see you guys next Thursday. Have a great week.